RC Command leads the way. Nick here with another Tech Tuesday. I'm heading back to the shop after picking up some parts that came in the mail. I'm going to break down the super shafty transmission that is in the standard and go over it to put it back together, back to 100%, so we can get it reinstalled, get that thing ready to go back racing. So y'all stand by, enjoy. So in part one, I took the Spartan buggy, tore it all the way down to the chassis, brought it out and sprayed it all down, cleaned it up, and now we're just going through each component to make sure that there aren't any issues. It looks like we got a little bit of play in this top shaft here in this super shafty bomb-proof transmission. Make sure that all of the outputs are good, and we really rarely have any issues with these transmissions, man. And with a lifetime warranty, you really can't go wrong. But everything spins freely. There's like I said, a little bit of play in that upper shaft, but that's probably just a normal. We ran this thing for a week straight, and we beat on it pretty hard, so I wouldn't be surprised if some things have worked themselves loose. So make sure all the solder joints are in good shape. Make sure all electrical connections are still in good shape. All the wires, no broken or frayed wires. Make sure all the cases are good, and get this thing cleaned up and ready to go back in. So got the motor separated from the transmission. Shaft is solid. Everything spins freely. No abnormal sounds or anything in there. So looks like the motor is in good shape. Again, we check all the electrical connections. Make sure everything is clean and still solid. Again, we're making sure there's no chips in the teeth. Everything looks good. This is a 3800 kV Castle motor. So it was an 8mm socket, and this was definitely loose. So snugged it up there tight and back to good and solid there. We rarely have any issues with these transmissions, y'all. They really are worth the money. With the motor connected back to the transmission, I just wanted to show y'all how we make sure that these two gears are correctly spaced. This is a trick that I learned a long time ago. I'm not saying it's right. It's worked for me. Basically what we do is I slide a piece of paper in between the pinion gear and spur gear. Make sure that it's just one layer of paper, and then I push the motor up to the pinion to the spur gear. I should be able to roll the gear and the paper comes back out. If that doesn't happen, then I'm pushing too hard. I know that I've got it too tight. roll the paper out. And this should be, there should be no excess drag. You want the two gears lined up as square as possible. Looks good, everything is tight, so we'll get everything cleaned up and back in the chassis. This has been a great setup. Sam Dubé really knocked it out of the park, man. I appreciate. I've appreciated this buggy since the very beginning. It is the standard. As a little added bonus, we're going to go over the electronics. This is a Mamba X, and we have shortened power cables and everything to fit into the very tight cockpit that is in the standard. We kept everything together. We just wanted to make sure that there weren't anything. The one thing that we did find is this switch is broken off. It's in the on position. We never use the switches anyway. We do keep them there as part of the system, but we always unplug directly to the battery because that's a guaranteed disconnect of juice to the system. You can see our receiver is in good shape. We just use a real standard setup as far as our receiver goes. We really only need the 3 channels. And then our steering servo, Shift S2, one of the OG servos from Shift, still just strong as an ox, man. The only complaint that I have about Shift servos is they sell out super fast. So if you are not on your game and an order comes in, you are not going to get a servo. So all electronics are in good shape, ready to go. Well, that wraps up another Tech Tuesday, y'all. The next episode will be back on the Weasel Motorsports chassis. We've got to install all of our hardware and get this thing buttoned up and ready for a couple of test runs. We've got a motor on the way. This thing is really coming together. So y'all stay tuned. Another Tech Tuesday in the making. See y'all soon.